One of the joys of watching Hamilton at home is having the chance to discover little moments of genius hidden away in the musical. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, I'm Jan, and in this video I'm going to reveal how one small character plays a big part in tying the whole show together and highlights the musical's major themes. Just before we begin, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. More on why they're a great place to build a website at the end. One of the ensemble characters known as the Bullet plays a secret role in foreshadowing Alexander Hamilton's ultimate fate, and she also heralds doom for many of the other characters she interacts with. The Bullet's first significant moment that highlights her association with mortality comes at the end of King George's song You'll Be Back. Here she appears as a spy who ends up being killed by a British soldier. And an interesting detail to note is that Alexander Hamilton is there watching in the background when it happens. But the Bullet's earliest interaction with Hamilton actually happens in the show's first song. Now, to understand her significance, we need to look at both how she moves and when, because the majority of the musical is tightly choreographed, with each dancer's moves tied to specific lyrics. And as choreographer Andy Blankenbuehler has said, every movement on stage furthers the story in some way. So it's intriguing that after Burr raps about Hamilton planning for the future, Hamilton passes a book to the Bullet, a hint she'll play an important role in his future. Then for a split second, the whole ensemble point a finger towards the sky, in a move that's repeated throughout the show and is reminiscent of Hamilton with his gun at the end. The Bullet also pops up significantly during Stay Alive, where she carries a bullet fired by a redcoat towards Hamilton. This time the bullet just misses him, though it's a sinister nod to Hamilton's doomed encounter with her during the show's final duel, where Aaron Burr's shot hits its target. In the song Yorktown, the Bullet teams up with John Laurens to kill a redcoat, after which they congratulate each other with a handshake. Unfortunately for Laurens, his interaction with the Bullet signals his downfall, and shortly before the end of the first act, Hamilton receives news that his friend died in a gunfight with retreating British soldiers. Interestingly, Yorktown isn't the first time the Bullet takes notice of Laurens though. She actually already had her eye on him back during the show's second song, Aaron Burr, Sir, when she stood watching him rap I'm John Laurens and the Place to Be, after which she took a seat at the table behind him as he rapped about how he was going to take down the redcoats. In Act 2, the Bullet's connection to death and demise grows even stronger as she begins to speak directly to the main characters, sometimes guiding them towards their fate. In the song Blow Us All Away, the Bullet tells Philip Hamilton where he can find George Eaker, who publicly disparaged his father Alexander during a 4th of July speech.
I saw him just up Broadway, a couple of blocks, he was going to see a play.
That leads to Philip's ill-fated duel with Eaker, who ends up mortally wounding him. There's a couple of intriguing things to note about this scene. Fittingly, just before Philip is shot, the Bullet walks directly behind him. And it's also a neat little irony that as Philip flirts with the woman early on in the scene, he's unwittingly flirting with death. The Bullet also sets in motion the events that lead Burr to his deadly confrontation with Hamilton. During the election of 1800, she chimes in with those supporting Burr.
I like that Aaron Burr. I can't believe we're here with him.
Burr is convinced he will win, but when Hamilton opposes him to support Jefferson instead, Burr's election chances are dashed, setting him on the path to finally confront Hamilton. And in Your Obedient Servant, not only does the Bullet carry Burr's desk on stage, but she also gives him the quill he uses to write the letters to Hamilton that end in their deadly duel. The Bullet completes her arc by bringing death to the musical's protagonist when she appears just as Burr fires his gun during his final face-off with Hamilton. As Hamilton begins his soliloquy, she gradually edges towards him, however the ensemble prevent her from fully reaching him. Still, as they lift her up and Hamilton revolves around the stage, she keeps the Bullet pointed at him, signalling that although the moment is being temporarily delayed, he cannot avoid his fate. Or as Ariana DeBose, who plays the Bullet, has said, you can look at the final duel in a couple of different ways. We're slowing the Bullet down to give Hamilton time to say everything he wants to say, or we're saying, this is it, it's inevitable, it's happening, so you can stare it right in the face. Curiously, the Bullet is pulled away as Eliza enters the scene, perhaps a nod to the fact that Eliza keeps Hamilton figuratively alive by doing everything she can to preserve his legacy after he dies. This fits nicely with the musical's major themes. In other words, it's meditation on death and what's left behind. That is, legacy.
What if this bullet is my legacy? Legacy.
Indeed, the whole show is like a 2.5-hour memento mori, a reminder of the inevitability of death and transience of life, something Hamilton was obsessed with. As Miranda said of himself and Hamilton, the ticking clock of mortality is loud in both our ears and it sets us to work. There are also several other important bullet moments worth looking out for in the show. When the ensemble form a line beside Hamilton during 10 Dual Commandments, ominously the bullet is right next to him when they sing the line, "Pick a place to die."
Pick a place to die where it's high and dry.
She then turns to face him and dances alongside him as the song continues with several more ominous lines, including "Leave a note for your next of kin, pray that hell or heaven lets you in."
Leave a note for your next of kin. Tell them where you've been. Pray that hell or heaven lets you in.
And fittingly, she's also dancing close by him when he sings the 9th rule, "Look him in the eye, aim no higher," which foreshadows the plot perfectly because Hamilton ignores that rule twice and each time it ends in death. First his son's and then his own. The fact characters are constantly dancing around with death in the show makes me think she fits within the medieval concept of the danse macabre, aka the dance of death, which was a reminder of the power and universality of death. The connection between the bullet and Hamilton during this song takes on even more meaning, as it's yet another way that the 10 Dual Commandments sets up the show's climactic combat between Hamilton and Burr, which it also does by having them act as seconds for Lawrence and Lee during this earlier duel, thus creating a parallel between the two moments. The bullet's interaction with King George is also interesting because she's the one who tells him about John Adams becoming the next president.
What? John Adams?
And with Adams' rise to power comes the decline of Hamilton's political reputation and career.
Adams fires Hamilton. Hamilton publishes his response.
Sit down, John, you fat mother!
Much earlier in the musical, while Hamilton is musing over when his death will come in the song My Shot, significantly the bullet is the last of the ensemble to unfreeze.
We roll like Moses, claiming our promised land.
Ariana DeBose, who plays the bullet, has said about her role that it's really intense for me because I always know I'm aiming for him, even if the rest of the ensemble members don't. So even if I'm just a lady in a ball gown at a party, there's still a part of my character that knows that that moment is going to come. The genius of the bullet is that although Hamilton frets over his legacy and when he'll die, both he and we don't fully take in the subtle ways the bullet has been foreshadowing his fate until the very end, when of course everyone sees her clearly. And if you feel inspired by the genius of Hamilton, then why not give an outlet to your own creativity on Squarespace, a fantastic online platform that you can easily use to build your own website. They have ready-made designer templates that you can quickly customize to create your own blog, podcast, or online store. You don't need any technical knowledge and they offer amazing 24/7 support for any questions or help you might need. Squarespace also integrates smoothly with your social accounts, letting you auto-post to Twitter, Facebook and Tumblr. So head on over to squarespace.com/flicks or follow the link in the video description below, where you can try the platform completely free for 14 days. And when your site is ready to launch, you'll get an extra 10% discount with that link. So what other characters or moments do you most appreciate in Hamilton? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, a big shout out to everyone who mentioned the bullet and requested this video on my previous Hamilton videos. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up. To learn more about all the other amazing details in the musical and how the show changed history, tap left for my full Hamilton playlist, or tap right for something else you're sure to like. Thanks for watching and see you next time, yippee-ki-yay movie lovers!